Hey there, gearheads. Welcome to the channel. Today, we're taking a trip back in time to the golden age of American muscle, the 1960s. Now, I'm talking about a time when gas was cheap, hair was long, and chrome was king. Get ready to feast your eyes on some serious horsepower and relive the glory days of these automotive icons. First up, we gotta start with the granddaddy of them all, the car that kicked off the muscle car craze, the 1964 Pontiac GTO. Now, some folks back then thought John DeLorean was crazy for stuffing a big old V8 into a mid-size car, but boy were they wrong. This thing was a game changer. It had power you wouldn't expect in a car that size, and it moved like a scalded cat. The GTO became an instant hit, and it set the stage for a whole generation of muscle cars. You could get one in a coupe, a convertible, even a station wagon. Imagine that, hauling the family and smoking a set of tires at the same time. The GTO was a true performance bargain, and it made owning a piece of American muscle attainable for just about anyone. And let me tell you, that sound, that unmistakable rumble of a GTO V8 is enough to make any car enthusiast weak in the knees. It wasn't afraid to be bold, brash, and a little bit crazy. Now, you can't talk about muscle cars without mentioning the Chevrolet Camaro, especially the '67 model. This was Chevy's answer to the Ford Mustang, and boy, did they deliver. The Camaro was a lean, mean fighting machine. It was all about performance, and it had the looks to match. The '67 Camaro was available in a bunch of different trims and engine options, so you could get one that was just right for you. Whether you wanted a street cruiser or a track day monster, there was a Camaro for you. And speaking of monsters, let's talk about the Z28. This thing was built for racing, with a high-revving V8 and a suspension that could handle like it was on rails. The Camaro was also a huge hit on the racetrack, battling it out with the Mustang in Trans Am racing. The long hood, the short deck, the aggressive stance, it all just screamed performance. The Camaro was a car that you could drive to work during the week and then take to the drag strip on the weekend. Next up, we've got a car that's as famous for its on-screen presence as it is for its performance, the 1968 Dodge Charger. This car was a beast, with its long, menacing lines and that unforgettable grille that looked like it could swallow you whole. But it wasn't all about looks. Under the hood, you could get some serious power, including the legendary 426 Hemi V8. That engine was a masterpiece, capable of propelling the Charger from 0 to 60 in a time that would shame many modern sports cars. But what really cemented the Charger's place in automotive history was its starring role in the movie Bullitt. That epic car chase scene, with Steve McQueen behind the wheel, is still one of the greatest car chases ever filmed. The Charger looked like a shark on wheels, chasing down that Mustang through the streets of San Francisco. It was pure cinematic magic, and it made the Charger an instant icon. Now, let's talk about a car that was built for pure speed, the 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 429. This car was a legend, a true homologation special built so Ford could go racing in NASCAR. They had to sell a certain number of these things to the public, and thank goodness they did. Under the hood was a massive 429 cubic inch V8, and I'm not talking about your ordinary 429. This engine was originally designed for Ford's racing program, and it was detuned for street use. But even with that, it still pumped out an incredible amount of horsepower. The Boss 429 wasn't just about straight-line speed either. It had a special suspension, upgraded brakes, and aerodynamic improvements that made it a force to be reckoned with on the track. These cars are incredibly rare and valuable today, and if you ever see one in person, consider yourself lucky. Now, if you wanted a muscle car that could do it all, you got yourself a 1969 Chevrolet Chev SS 396. This car was a true all-around performer. It had the power to blow the doors off most other cars on the road, but it was also comfortable enough to drive every day. The Chevelle SS 396 came with a 396 cubic inch V8 that pumped out a respectable amount of horsepower. But what really set it apart was its handling. Chevrolet really nailed it with the Chevelle's suspension. It was a muscle car that you could live with. Let's talk about a car that was all about bang for your buck. The 1969 Plymouth Roadrunner. This car was designed to be affordable performance, and it delivered in spades. Plymouth took a no-frills approach with the Roadrunner. It was a basic car with a big engine and not much else. And that's what made it so great. You could get a Roadrunner with a 383 cubic inch V8, or even the legendary 426 Hemi. And because it was so stripped down, it was relatively lightweight, which meant it was seriously quick. The Roadrunner was a favorite among street racers and drag racers alike. And let's not forget about that iconic beep beep horn. The Roadrunner was a car for the people. Now, for a car that was a little bit flashy and a whole lot of fun, we have the 1969 Pontiac Trans Am. This car was all about style and performance, and it had both in spades. The Trans Am was a special high-performance version of the Firebird, and it came standard with a 400 cubic inch V8. But what really set the Trans Am apart was its styling. It had a distinctive front end with hidden headlights, a shaker hood scoop, and those iconic stripes that ran the length of the car. And then there was the screaming chicken decal on the hood. The Trans Am was a car that was meant to be seen and heard. Let's not forget about Oldsmobile. They had a muscle car too, and it was a good one. The 1969 Oldsmobile 442. Now, Oldsmobile was known for building comfortable, luxurious cars. But that didn't mean they couldn't build a muscle car that could hold its own on the street or the track. The 442 came with a 442 cubic inch V8, hence the name, and it was a torque monster. It wasn't as high-revving as some of the other engines on this list, but it had plenty of low-end grunt to get you moving in a hurry. But what really set the 442 apart was its refinement. It was a muscle car that didn't beat you up. Now, if you were on a tight budget but still wanted a piece of the muscle car pie, there was the 1969 Dodge Super Bee. This car was Dodge's answer to the Plymouth Roadrunner, and it was just as focused on affordable performance. The Super Bee was a no-frills muscle car that came with a powerful V8 engine and a whole lot of attitude. You could get a Super Bee with a 383 cubic inch V8, or, if you wanted even more power, the 446 pack. The Super Bee was a reminder that you didn't need to spend a lot of money to have fun behind the wheel of a muscle car. Finally, we have a car that combined luxury and performance in one stylish package, the 1969 Mercury Cougar Eliminator. The Cougar was already a stylish car, but the Eliminator package took it to the next level. It added a bunch of performance goodies, including a more powerful engine, upgraded suspension, and some cool styling cues, like a rear spoiler and a blacked-out hood. The Eliminator was available with a 390 cubic inch V8 or the mighty 428 Cobra Jet. The Cougar Eliminator was a car for the enthusiast who wanted it all performance, luxury, and style. Well, folks, that's a wrap. We've taken a trip down memory lane, revisiting some of the greatest muscle cars ever built. These cars weren't just machines. They were icons that represented an era of American automotive excellence. They were fast, loud, and proud, and they captured the hearts and imaginations of a generation. Whether you prefer the raw power of a Hemi Charger or the balanced performance of a Chev SS, there's no denying the impact these cars had on automotive history. And the best part is, many of these cars are still around today, lovingly restored and cherished by enthusiasts young and old. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more classic car content. See you next time.